Well, this has been about a year to 2 year adventure quest that my son has had and I to do something together to try and obtain a big, large whitetail buck. We both killed a lot of deer in Oklahoma where we're from, but we decided we'd like to try to come to Kansas.
No idea what to expect, first time hunting in Kansas, and here I am with Rowe and Aric, and should be a good hunt. We got a good cold front coming in, looks like coming up the weekend, and hopefully we'll see the big boy.
Just saw the biggest deer in the whole world. It had to be.
Day one, we were up on this little dune overlooking some fields, and I couldn't believe the deer that was moving. They just kept coming up this draw out in the field and going around a point where we couldn't see them. But the bucks, you had a lot to choose from.
This is great. It's cold. We're seeing some deer too. This is fun.
It was hard to distinguish for me, being from Oklahoma, it was hard to distinguish the difference between a high-class deer and what we have in Oklahoma.
Here he comes out right under the stand. That's a good deer. Real tall rag. See? Pretty good buck. Big high hopes. Seen a lot of deer last evening scouting. But time will tell. It's supposed to snow here tomorrow, the next day. Then it's gonna change. So we're gonna get that big buck. I just want to see.
Evening hunt on the first day, was extraordinary. That was probably the best that we had. We had bucks within 20 yards of us. We even had 2 bucks fight in front of us, and we got it on camera. There was bucks in behind us, there was does, but mainly bucks that first day in the evening. We really didn't have a lot of doe. These bucks were all together, and it was kind of unusual. We were kind of laughing at each other sitting by this big log, and they kept getting closer and closer and closer. I thought they were going to run over us.
Deer come out of the woodwork. They were everywhere. So it kind of tops off the first day of my hunt in Kansas. I had a real nice time, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow morning with big excitement.
Morning number 2, we changed locations about 250 yards probably around the corner where we saw all these deer going. And it was cold, but we toughed it out and didn't see much activity.
I'm ready. I got all I can put on. It's second day, second evening here in Kansas, and it's cold. The wind's coming out of the north about 30 miles an hour, and we've seen a few deer getting here. One buck chasing a doe, and we saw some turkeys, so they're up maybe moving around. Maybe they're cold too, so we're gonna give it the cosmic try. We're gonna go out there and freeze a little bit and get them froze. Maybe they'll come over to see if we got anything to eat.
Trying to get down to the end of this windrow, and we've got a buck laying right out in the middle of the field. And it looks like he's asleep to a little 6-point. He may have got some footage on him. We're gonna have to try to sneak around him. It's kind of funny. He'd be laying out in the open this time of day. It's so windy. But we're gonna try to sneak by him now.
We had this one buck across the field. We were lined up in a fence line around a tree, and we were using our binoculars and watching across this big field. It's probably 400, 500, 600 yards across. The deer were feeding. We saw them come out of the thicket, and we saw some horns at that distance. That's got to be some kind of big buck. So we just kind of sat there. Well, there wasn't any way he was going to come to us, but surely he did. He started right at us, and the old heart starts pounding because you don't know what he really was. He went down in a low spot where we couldn't see him and came up through the grass. As he got with about 80 yards, we decided that he wasn't what we wanted, but what a massive buck it was. He was a very, very large animal. But we didn't take him. We could have, but we didn't take him. And we really wasn't what we were here for. This is the third morning.
Friday. We're here in Kansas, and it's cold. It's about 9 degrees, and wind's going to pick up a little bit. But we got plenty of hand warmers and body warmers and back warmers, and maybe we can make it in there.
Seen a good buck last time, didn't we?
Yeah, we saw a real nice deer. He might have been 2.5, 3.5 years old, but he's got a lot of growing to do. So we saw a lot of deer, so hopefully that big boy will be out this morning, cruising around. But we're gonna have a good time anyway.
It was cold, but we toughed it out and didn't see much activity until around 9 o'clock, and caught a glimpse of something about 400 yards away, and there the big boy was.
I know it is. Mother. Yeah, that's the shooter. Mother. Oh shit, piss. Oh me. Are you fucking shitting me? Oh. Mother. Yeah. That's a shoot. I've hunted in a long time. I've never seen one that big.
We had probably 15, 20 seconds of visual contact, binoculars, and it was the most amazing deer I've ever seen in my life, except for magazines and on TV. I'll never forget it. I laid down that night, and all I could see was those horns. He was a monster monarch of Kansas. There was no doubt about that.
Well, here we are again. Day 3 in the evening. It's about 12:30. After lunch, we went in and grabbed a sandwich. We're gonna try to get in on this big buck that we saw this morning. I'm pretty excited and pretty pumped about it. There's a good chance we'll get to see him, so I'm gonna get myself in there and freeze, but I'm gonna get myself in there, so I'll talk to you later.
We saw two bucks that came up on the fence line at about 200 yards, 180 yards, 200, and they were really respectable deer. Really wasn't what I wanted, but it got me excited. And then we had a what we referred to at the time as a management buck come by. He had a large right side high beam, but on the left side it was just a spike that stuck out about 25 inches up, and it kind of laid over. He was an unusual buck. And we got to see him a couple other times on the hunt, but and we'd laugh, there's the management buck. But we sat there and watched deer after deer and buck after buck come right to us, around us, and behind us, and just stand there and look at us. What an experience. There was probably a couple of shooters in there, but when you have that many bucks around you, it's hard to be able to move to get obtain what size they were. So. We passed on that day, but what an experience. This is about our 7th day, our last day to hunt, and we got into our area a little late, but it was somewhere around 4:30. We're sitting there, and this started seeing some does and some small bucks come out. It was getting late, and the sun was going down, and Aric turned and said, "There's a big buck coming." It was coming across a field with grass in it that we couldn't see very well, and I was in behind a big tree. I managed to get up to turn around and look at him, and I thought, well, that's a respectable deer. He's a monster-bodied deer, but I wanted to get a closer look. So it looked like he was coming right at us, and I thought, I don't think that's a shooter buck, and Aric said, he's a shooter. But he raised his head where I could see him, and he raised his head back, and he had a real wide spread, and it was a good buck. sun's about to go down. He got within 200 yards and I got up, got on the sticks. He wouldn't quarter away from me and I couldn't shoot him from the back. So I did have the safety off and had him in the scope. If he would have turned, I could have probably got him, but that's the way it goes, you know. He was, that was an experience I'll never forget. He was a good shooter buck, but I didn't get him. Let him walk, and which was the right thing to do. So all in all, the experience was fantastic. Had my heart pounding several times. Big bucks everywhere, but they wouldn't come out to let us even look at them very long. Would I ever come back to Kansas? Yeah, I think so. I would love to come back to Kansas to experience that again, and maybe that big boy will step out someday.
We saw some pretty nice 8 points come in. We probably saw a total of 25, 30 deer, a bunch of does, little bucks, and one decent 8 came in. So when that 8 point walked in, the nice one, you know, Ryan said to me, he said, "Shooter, that might be a shooter." And I thought to myself, you know, this is, are you sure? Are you sure? Hold on, let me look. And I couldn't tell because the body was just, I mean, he was a monster body, and, you know, came in and just, you know, he was just almost a shooter, but, you know, didn't pull the trigger and just passed him up waiting for a bigger one. So day 2, we're sitting there, it's cold, early in the morning, get out there before daylight, and you know, we see some deer moving off in the distance, and we had some we had 2, I'm talking rocking chairs, out about 400 or 500 yards, and they never came to us. We stuck it out, you know, for a little while, came back, got a little bite to eat, and we went right back out. And that's when we had a monster come in on us. Shooting light was almost over. Immediately my heart started pumping, and of course Ryan said, "That's a shooter, that's a shooter." And I thought, oh God, please, please. And then, you know, some does came in, and they were in front of him, and they walked through this deep tree grove, and he was following them. And then all of a sudden a pumper came in.
Oil pumper drove in to check the wells and spooked them off, and they ran the other direction, and we just weren't for sure if the buck was going to be in there the next day.
You know, the luck is just, you know, whatever. Okay, so day 3, I'm up early, and you know, I'm pumped, and I'm ready to go because I know big boy's got to step out. Daylight comes up, we see some does, and we see that nice 8 come out again, and we see another 8 and some more deer off in the distance, several does, and You know, Ryan, by that point, a cold front had came in and it got cold. It got real cold.
And we've also got this.
I about froze out there, of course. And so I was pacing around the tanks, oil tanks, and just, you know, dreaming of that big boy walking out in front of me. And
binoculars fell off my lap. Went tumbling down about, I'd say we're up about 340 feet. I feel like it's a skyscraper up here. And anyways, they didn't break. At least, well, I say that. Now I'm looking at them, they might have broke a little bit. While I was down there, I took a little gentleman's break. Dude, look. God dang it. Are these expensive? Were these expensive? Like $600. Yeah, all right. Cool.
it starts, you know, getting prime time. They start feeding on the corn, and you know, I'm sitting there thinking, you know, come on, please come out, please come out. Well, some does scatter, you know, and then it gets silent. It's still freezing cold, and all of a sudden, he steps out. You know, my heart immediately starts beating because I saw to one side, saw that he had 7. And I'm freaking out by that point. I've got my gun on him. I don't, you know, binoculars are history by that point. And he had the wide frame, and he turned his head, and I knew then. I said, okay, Ryan, I'm gonna shoot. I steadied my gun, just, you know, took a deep breath and squeezed the trigger.
Shoot. Get him again. Get him again.
I'm that hunter that has that philosophy. If he doesn't go down with the first shot, I'm gonna keep shooting. And I made kind of a flimsy shot, and I shot him in the back legs. So I had to shoot one more time, you know, just to make absolutely sure. And he went down, and he stayed down. And you know, I was freaking out. So it was good. It was real good. He's got him. This is the same deer we saw the first night. I don't know how big he is yet, but he's a nice one, maybe 150, 160. He's real pretty wide rack, 5 points, high length. I just don't know. God, he's excited. Did you get it good? Oh, God. Was that him? Was that him? Same one? Then, dude, he's a good buck. Yeah. He's a good buck. He's a mature, nice one. Thanks, man. Dude, thank you. This is fun. This is a lot of fun. I'm just ready to see this buck. Central Kansas 13 point. You got stickers all over the place. Nice mass. It's a good deer. That's a good deer. Thanks, man. Thanks, Ryan. That was fun. That's a good deer. It means the world to me. I mean, I don't know if I'll ever kill a bigger buck in my lifetime. I hope I will, but what a blessing. You know, it was just one of those things that'll stick with me for the rest of my life.
The excitement that I had was probably just as good as what my son did. It was like that I obtained that buck too, because we're kind of melted together, both of us. And my son was very happy. And that meant the whole world to me.